Welcome to Nutrition Nuts, where we explore breakthroughs in nutrition science, wellness trends, and dietary supplements. You'll hear from industry leaders, health practitioners, and research scientists giving you cutting-edge insights and actionable tips for living your healthiest life. I am your host and also head nut, Jim Wilk, certified nutritionist. Thanks to our main sponsor, HollyHillVitamins.com, the place for great selection, service, and prices. Okay, thank you so much for joining us again today on Nutrition Nuts. I am your host, Jim Wilk, and it's early fall. What can I say? I love this time of year. Love this time of year. Love to go out hiking. Love to look at the different colors in the trees and the earth and the sky and everything. It's a great, great time of year for me. And I'm having on today an old favorite, Vanessa Pavey. Well, she's not old. But Dr. Vanessa Pavey, she's a naturopathic doctor and education scientist at Life Extension, one of the premier companies out there that I recommend and look forward to their fantastic magazines and get a lot of good information. They have probably the most medical staff, most amount of people, doctors and naturopaths on their staff than all the other companies combined. I think it's just not well. They're just really into extensive research and things. So I like that. They do a lot of good studies and stuff. So Vanessa, she enjoys discussing the mechanism of how nutrition influences the body and is committed to improving health through education. That's what she does. And she actually was trained as a primary care physician. And she was also very skilled in biochemistry, and she earned her Bachelor of Science degree in biology from the University of St. Francis before she started training in naturopathic medicine at Bastyr University. So she's been helping people and helping Life Extension customers with this, learning more about the science of a healthier life. She's been doing this for over 10 years there. So we appreciate it. Last time I had her on about a few years ago, it was vitamin K we talked about, and bloating and a lot of digestive stuff and quercetin things. So today, I don't know what, I haven't talked to her yet. We haven't started the show yet with her, obviously. So I was going to bring up either men's issues, all right? Men have issues just like other human beings. We're going to discuss that. And or brain stuff too. So some of it's connected, right, guys? It's a lot of that stuff that happens around the bedroom there have a lot to do with what's going on in your head as well. So I'm gonna, maybe try to touch on both some of the good products and from Life Extension, and they have some unique things for different situations. So I wanted to make it clear for people. So it might be a good idea to get a pen and paper, as in the old days kind of stuff, and see what Vanessa has to say. She's fantastic, so you'll really enjoy it. And without further ado, here is Dr. Vanessa Pavey. Dr. Vanessa Pavey, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a few years. You were on a few years ago. I was looking back, and we talked about some stuff, and I got some new ideas I want to discuss with you. So how are you doing, first of all? Everything good?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's great. And are you still in Las Vegas, or where am I reaching you now?
Actually, I am. I'm still here in Las Vegas with Life Extension.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And does it get like fall there? I've never been to Las Vegas in the fall. Do the buildings start turning colors, or what's going on?
Oh, we do have a little bit of a fall. The weather starts to get a little bit cooler. We don't have the beautiful weather that you guys have, and with all the trees turning colors, but we do get a little bit of that indication that the weather's changing.
You would think that with all the technology, and especially Las Vegas, they would do something to put some trees up with different colors somehow, get that going there. That would be so cool. I mean, they do everything else technology-wise there, so I'm sure that's coming down the pike here. So I wanted to. I don't know if you noticed, since we've talked last, which was a couple of years ago, that more and more people are interested in stuff to help with their memory and their brain. There's that pallor going over the earth here about are we losing our minds, so to speak, and dementia is becoming to the forefront, and of course Alzheimer's and things, and I guess we get every day somebody asking about what can I do to improve my memory, and maybe it's because as time goes on, we have an older generation that's lasting around longer here, and we wanted to keep up with everything and keep our minds sharp. So I know Life Extension, and I told the people how much research you guys do. This is not really mom and pop kind of operation. You guys go into good, extensive research and studies, and you have a fantastic medical staff there at Life Extension. So I know you guys have a few formulas, and I'd like to go over some of them and obviously the ingredients in them, because some of them are a little unusual that I think the public may not know about. So I'd like to start one of your original ones was the Cognitex, which is a trademark, Cognitex, and comprehensive support for brain health. So what are some of the key ingredients in there is phosphatidylserine and vinpocetine, and wild blueberry and ashwagandha. So it's and the sage extract too, which is interesting. I don't think that many people think of sage as far as the brain goes. So what was the genesis in coming out with this particular formula?
Oh, actually, the genesis is that this was one of our flagship products from the early 1980s when Life Extension first started launching supplements. So Cognitex has been with Life Extension for over 40 years at this point. And of course, as everything, Life Extension does upgrade and change the formulas with time as new science emerges. So I might even argue that sage extract that you brought up is the key ingredient. Now, this is not the same kind of sage that you can get at the grocery store or use in, cooking. This is actually a very specifically cultivated sage, not a GMO, because I know when people hear kind of cultivated, that could give an implication of like GMO. Now, this is not genetically modified. What it is it's specifically hybrid, and it is incredibly rich in the rosmarinic acid, which is a key ingredient in sage that helps to support memory. And how it does that is by slowing down the enzyme that breaks down one of our most important memory enhancing neurotransmitters, which is acetylcholine. So this enzyme breaks acetylcholine down, and the special sage slows that process down.
Okay. And a lot of people are under the impression they can buy acetylcholine, right? I've heard people ask for that particular ingredient.
People can purchase like choline. Usually, like there are multiple different types of choline on the market, like CDP choline. Also, you can get choline from your phospholipids, like in lecithin. But in terms of acetylcholine itself, which is the neurotransmitter, that acetyl group does not necessarily stay on the choline very long. It's not actually ideal to take an acetylcholine because the body needs to make it.
Right.
And it's consistently making and breaking it down. So it's actually more efficient to support body levels of acetylcholine with a choline type of ingredient.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And the vinpocetine, which has been around a long time as well, is a pretty cool type of herb there that could also improve cognitive performance in people.
There are studies showing that it does help to support specifically concentration and memory. And vinpocetine is a very interesting phytonutrient. It is an alkaloid that's derived from periwinkle, so purple French periwinkle plants. And what it's really doing, the mechanism behind it is helping to support blood flow to the brain. So this is a very actually important ingredient for helping to maintain a cognition and memory as we age. Now, there is a caution for those who are of childbearing age or pregnant or planning on becoming pregnant to maybe consult with a doctor before taking periwinkle derivatives like the vinpocetine, But other than that, vinpocetine is a really great option for those who are trying to maintain their memory and their cognitive function as they age.
Okay. Another ingredient is phosphatidylserine, which I remember from back in the 80s. Also, folks, you might have seen PS. They use that little those two letters there to indicate it's phosphatidylserine. But that's an old standby. I mean, it's still very popular today. Very good product, right? A very good ingredient. Excuse me.
It is. I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with phosphatidylserine, or like you said, like PS, for supporting brain function, because it is a component of cell membrane, specifically like the neurons of the brain. But another interesting mechanism behind the phosphatidylserine is that it also works on the pituitary level by blunting the amount of ACTH that's released from the pituitary gland. Now, ACTH is adrenocorticotropic hormone. And what it does is it tells the adrenal glands to create cortisol, our stress hormone. So phosphatidylserine, helping to blunt that process, can actually help modulate the stress response. So it's also great not just for memory, but also helping to keep us a little bit more cool during the day, or even a great way of supporting sleep at night, especially if stress helps kind of keep you up at night.
Cool beans. Okay, so that was one of their original brain formulas, folks, is Cognitex Elite, and they make a few different kinds of those. The other one I wanted to talk about too is the brain fog relief, and I know most people use a cup of coffee for brain fog relief, right? But this particular product has a mango extract in there and some peppermint oil, which is pretty cool, because a lot of people don't think of like an essential oil to take internally. They use it for aromatherapy. And I know peppermint is very a little bit, you put that in an aromatherapy situation, it kind of wakes you up, so to speak. But you also use a mango leaf. Well, I don't know. People love mangoes. They've been around forever. So I know it's the plant itself has been used in traditional medicine and stuff for forever. So talk a little bit about the peppermint and the mango in this brain fog relief product.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you started with the peppermint, because even just smelling peppermint seems to kind of wake up my senses and kind of give me a little bit more clarity. Mm-hmm. It really, when we take the peppermint oil internally, what we want are those monoterpenes. These are the active components in peppermint oil that actually improve the neurotransmitters that are associated with memory and attention, like acetylcholine. So these monoterpenes in peppermint oil slow down the breakdown again of acetylcholine, kind of on par with the sage, because even just sage, peppermint, these wonderful types of almost like the Ramiaceae family of herbs have such a strong impact on helping to support memory and focus and concentration. Peppermint also supports GABA, our calming neurotransmitter. So that one was a must-have in a brain fog kind of formulation. But I might argue, kind of similar to the sage extract in the Cognitex, that it's actually the mango leaf that's really our shining star in this formula. So it's not the mango fruit part, it's actually the leaf. And when I heard about it, I thought, oh gosh, can people consume the leaf? I've never heard of that. And actually, I was completely wrong. It's been used as a tea for many, many, many decades. So has an excellent safety profile. And what the mango leaf is rich in are polyphenols. And it addresses the three main targets that we're trying to hit when somebody says brain fog. Because really, brain fog is not really technically a medical term. It's just kind of a constellation of symptoms. And usually those symptoms involve like inflammation that can happen in the brain, kind of creating like a foggy feeling. Histamine release is typically another kind of target that people say, during those types of seasons where, pollen's in the air, people say, I have a lot of brain fog due to that because of the histamine release. Right. And of course, the third target would be like neurotransmitters, specifically the neurotransmitters like norepinephrine, which is part of focus and attention. So what's really amazing about the mango leaf extract is it helps to modulate the enzymes modulates the histamine response and also helps to inhibit the excess inflammation that can happen and affect the neurological system. So it's really a great ingredient if we're trying to target all three components of what can contribute to brain fog.
To clear your mind kind of thing. I guess if you're going to do a kind of a task or something and you need to just concentrate on something, this just takes the spider webs, so to speak. Well, it's near Halloween. Spider webs away from the brain there and just have a nice path to go down.
Absolutely. I love that analogy, kind of like clearing away the cobwebs.
Right.
Because the studies that Life Extension was looking at were actually looking at cognitive performance rather than just subjective measures of, well, how foggy do you feel? Because that can be a little bit more difficult to utilize in a study. So they were actually using cognitive performance tests and finding that those who were taking either like the peppermint oil, which was one study, or the mango leaf extract, which was a second study, the subjects that took those ingredients did perform better several hours after consuming it. So this is something that we can expect to have an impact within the same day, just a couple hours after consuming. Because sometimes some of the nutrients do take a little bit of time to help the healing process. Sometimes we say 2 to 3 months, but this one is one of those ingredients or two ingredients that work very quickly.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I've seen some of the studies, and you see these studies usually for some of your other products, 15 weeks, something, down 3 months, that kind of a thing. So I have to remind the people out there that the natural stuff sometimes takes a little longer than maybe some pharmaceutical thing, but the safety aspect is tremendous in that. So you got to give this stuff a little time. I mean, most people haven't lost their mind in overnight, so it's not going to come back that quickly as easily. So that's a good point to make out there. The next one I want to talk about is quick. Now we're talking about time, right? Quick brain nootropic. Explain to the folks what a nootropic is, and explain some of these ingredients, which are also something I've seen for many, many years.
Yes. So nootropics have been kind of making a splash in the last couple of years, sometimes associated with the terms like biohacking or neurohacking. So a nootropic is a little bit of a different ingredient than something that we would use for helping to support healthy cognition with age.
Okay.
A nootropic helps to enhance alertness, learning capacity, focus attention immediately, right then and there. That's really kind of the gauge of a nootropic, is helping to enhance cognitive abilities for all adults, whether you're 18 years of age or like 70 years of age, trying to enhance that cognitive, kind of giving you a little bit of an edge, I would maybe say. And now here's the caveat. When Life Extension was looking at nootropics, we're all about safety. And what we wanted were ingredients that have long-term safety studies that are, so these would be ingredients that it would be okay if you're taking them on a daily basis over a long period of time.
Right.
So the ingredients that really shine in that category as nootropics were gotu kola, bacopa, and the one that surprised me was lutein and zeaxanthin, which you usually think of for eyes.
Right.
But the study that impressed me the most with the lutein and zeaxanthin was actually conducted in college students, which that's why I was pretty surprised, because I thought, wow, these, usually college students, they're already at the top of their cognitive game.
Right.
Right. So these students were given lutein and zeaxanthin, or of course, the other group was given a placebo. Now they did take it for 6 months because they wanted the lutein and zeaxanthin to build up, but then they had the students come back and do just this battery of cognitive tests. And they found that the students that received the lutein and the zeaxanthin actually outperformed not just the placebo group, but outperformed their baseline numbers. So we were seeing some improvement with that. So it's not just for the eyes, it's also supportive of cognition, and could be considered, well, Life Extension's considering it a nootropic.
Wow, that's really interesting. I can see, wow, college students use that because all they're using now is Adderall, I think, mostly. So
Right.
this would be something great to give to them. Maybe it would help with some of the protest things going on the campus. I don't know. But so this has the marigold and the bacopa and the gotu kola. Marigold is also kind of a little bit of unusual thing too, right?
Oh, yeah. The marigold is really a fantastic dietary source of not just lutein and zeaxanthin, but also mesozeaxanthin,
Okay.
which is not typically found in our diet. And humans need to actually make mesozeaxanthin from the lutein we consume. If we're looking specifically at the eye, which is great, you could actually kind of give an assessment of how many of these important like carotenoid pigments like lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin that we have by actually looking at the macula of the eye. So your eye doctor can help to assess that.
Wow.
And half, like 50%, is supposed to be made up of lutein, 25% is made up of mesozeaxanthin, and that last 25% is made up of zeaxanthin. So 25% of our macula is made up of mesozeaxanthin, and we're not getting it really from diet, unless you're eating marigolds, because that's where we can get it.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool. Remember, folks, you can go to hollyhillvitamins.com, mention nuts and UTZ, our code, and get 15% off the life extension products we're talking about today. So we have the great Quick Brain Nootropic. That sounds like a cool thing. That's something I might like to try here. And it's just a one a day, which is nice there. And again, they have the trademarked ingredients, folks. I really look for that when I look at it at products out there. If you see a nice little asterisk near the product, it's usually a trademark sign, a copyright sign, showing that there has been some research or some studies done into it, and it's not somebody throwing something in from their garage, right? Right, Vanessa? I mean, that happens out there.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, not at Life Extended. It doesn't happen
No,
with us.
no.
Yes, we do like to use those trademarked ingredients that are very standardized and have consistency with the testing. Because Life Extension tests all of our raw material and all of our finished products. Because we don't just do the raw material testing to make sure that what we're getting is actually the ingredient and standardized to what we're looking for. But also, after it's put into like either a pill or a capsule or a tablet, we want to make sure that potency is still there. So we'll always test the finished product as well. So lots of testing done at Life Extension.
No, definitely, folks. That's why I recommend them. Honestly, it's I like that research that they do there. The next one is a dopamine, and I guess people get a little confused when they see that word dopa, and they're familiar with dopamine and things like that. On the bottle, I'm looking at the bottle. Dopamine supports mental acuity and longevity. And the main ingredient in this product, folks, is wild green oat extract, which, again, has become more popular in the last few years. So talk a little bit about dopamine.
Yeah, that wild green oat extract, and why that's important to say, because when I hear oats, I'm thinking, oh, well, if I just have my oatmeal in the morning,
Right.
It will be covered. But actually, it's the immature green prior to maturity of the oats that we eat for breakfast in the morning. Okay. And it is standardized to the isobitexins. That's the magic ingredient. And we might even consider this wild green oat extract a nootropic as well, because what it's doing is it's helping to support, well, as the product implies, dopa supports dopamine. And we also, well, really dopamine, even though we kind of think of it as that feel-good neurotransmitter that's associated with like the pleasure reward pathways of the body, right, it's also vital for cognition. And how this ingredient actually works is by slowing down, again, the enzyme that breaks down dopamine. We talked a lot about the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine, but now we're going to talk about the enzyme that breaks down dopamine, which is called AO. And it's targeting a specific AO called MAOB. This is the enzyme that breaks down dopamine. It has very little impact on the other neurotransmitters. It's really specific to dopamine, which is why if we're just targeting this one, we typically don't have the unwanted potential side effects that could arise if you're targeting other MAO enzymes.
Right. And this increases as one gets older, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Life Extension wrote a really fabulous article a couple years ago talking about how specifically this AOB enzyme increases with activity, like you said, which is really unnerving because we're all about, here at Life Extension, as our name implies, extending healthy human life and supporting longevity. And it's a little unnerving to think that if the longer we live, the faster this MAOB enzyme starts to crank up, the less dopamine I have. So this is why we put supporting longevity, because really we want to support the longevity of our cognition and our memory as well. And dopamine is a very big, important piece of that.
Yeah. Sounds like a great product. Gee whiz. I wish you had all this stuff into one product. Big giant horse pill. That would be fantastic. But I can see the different levels and different avenues to help with brain health. So it's fascinating to me. Dopamine is looks like a great product. Folks, they also have Memory Protect too, which defends against memory loss. And that has an ingredient, cholesterol and lithium, those two ingredients. Lithium is also seems to be making a comeback. I get people asking about lithium more often now than I can't remember when. So I think a lot of them getting confused with the drug lithium as well for people use for bipolar things. So go into a little bit about that. This is a product called Memory Protect from Life Extension.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought up the lithium, and I do think there are connotations with that in the general public, because like you said, most people associate lithium with the pharmaceutical, and really lithium is it should be an essential trace mineral, but right now it's not considered an essential one, which is why you don't normally see lithium in your, listing on your multivitamins with the different minerals that we typically need to get, like the magnesium and calcium and
the
potassium
macros,
and things like that.
Right.
Correct. In fact, the scientific community is arguing that the suggested daily requirement of lithium should be anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms a day. And I said micrograms, which are really, that's a much smaller dose than what would be considered like a milligram dose, which is a little bit higher than that.
Right.
That's where the pharmaceuticals come into play. They're in milligram doses, in almost gram doses, which are even bigger doses. So for a typical prescription of lithium, it would be like 900 to 1,800 milligrams a day. So really that's almost like 1 to 2 grams kind of an estimate with
right.
a huge amount of lithium.
Yeah, it'd be like taking 20 of these per day. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
An extreme amount of lithium. And where we typically get lithium in, tiny little trace amounts is really in water is where we're supposed to. But I bet most of the listeners, like myself, are drinking filtered water, like bottled water, right, which actually does filter out some of the lithium. So we're probably not getting as much lithium as we think we are for everyday health.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that. And the cholesterol also read about it coming from colostrum, which is the first milk produced after childbirth. And most people think of that for their immune system. The mother giving some of that that first 40 hours of breastfeeding when a baby is born, it transfers the immune system of the mother to the baby. So when I found it pretty cool that it also helps with brain functioning.
It does. Isn't that fascinating how like immune and brain, the whole body is interconnected. Mm-hmm. And the cholesterol specifically, it is a kind of a complex of peptides that's really rich in proline. And there are studies showing that it does enhance cognition, memory, and mental function. But here's what's kind of interesting. The study that several studies that Life Extension were looking at did not use cholesterol every day. They actually used it every other day for 2 weeks. and then take a week off and then start off again. So it's a little bit of a complex way of, taking cholesterol in, especially, with busy lifestyles, it's hard to, kind of say, wait, did I take it yesterday? Did I have to take it every other day? But then, oh, wait, has it been 2 weeks? So what Life Extension did was we put the pills in a blister pack that's numbered by days. We did the thinking for you. So you just pop each day, and go in order.
Right.
So you're kind of matching what they did in the study that gave the best efficacy. The other study that Life Extension was looking at was the lithium. They were using, again, that kind of small dose at 1,000 micrograms a day, but they were using that one every day. So in the blister pack, you're getting everyday lithium and every other day cholesterol.
Interesting. Wow, that's so cool. It's very rare you'd find that in a supplement, that kind of precision there. That's pretty cool. All right, folks. All right, you got your memory down, right? You know where you have to be. You know who you're talking to. So we're going to switch over to some men's health, because I'm a man and I like to know, and I know Vanessa knows her stuff. So I'm gonna be listening as well as talking at the same time here. So Vanessa, of course, we have to talk about at least my number one selling Life Extension product is the Ultra Prostate formula. And this is the one I recommend to most of the men out there when they're having some issues. And over the years, you guys, which I love about you guys, you kind of change a few things, you add a few things, when more knowledge comes out about these things. So you're always up on what's going on. That's why I love you guys. So most prostate formulas have the saw palmetto and the stinging nettle and the pumpkin seed and things like that. But you guys put some extra things in there that I thought were very beneficial. So I'm sure you guys get good reports back at the office there about the prostate formula.
We sure do. In fact, this is our number one selling product in the men's health category. And we have gotten probably more feedback from this product than any other one. I mean, it really is a well-designed one. Now, one of the feedback I do get sometimes outside of, wow, this has been really supportive, is the size of the soft gels. The product is 2 soft gel serving size. Please do make sure you're getting the 2 soft gels daily with food, or of course is recommended by your healthcare practitioner. But the reason why is because this is one of our multi-ingredient formulas. You might notice that Life Extension doesn't do a lot of formulas with multiple ingredients, like 10 or more ingredients, because we're not about just sprinkling a few, a milligram here and 2 milligrams there. No. We want to make sure that we're providing the same dose that was used in the study that provided efficacy. So unfortunately, that creates, if we're not skimping on dosing and we're trying to minimize how many pills you're consuming, unfortunately, that kind of makes for a larger soft gel. So I really apologize. I apologize in advance, but that's the rationale for why.
I gotcha. I'd like you to talk about some of the unusual things, like, and we also have a standalone. One of the ingredients, folks, is flower pollen extract, and you guys also make a standalone flower extract as well. The prostapollen, the triple strength prostapollen. So we can kind of kill 2 birds with one pill here, and talk a little bit about the flower pollen that's in the prostate formula and your triple strength prostapollen.
Great segue there, because sometimes when people are looking at the label and they see flower pollen extract and it is from rye, some people might say, "Ooh, will that have an impact on kind of the idea of I don't do well with pollen during the pollen season?"
Right.
Well, actually, what we do, this specific flower pollen extract, the part of the pollen that creates the problems during those kinds of seasons is on the outside. It's the inside of the pollen that has a really important impact on supporting the health of the prostate gland and promoting healthy urination patterns. There's some really nice studies showing that it does help to regulate healthy urination patterns, especially at night, and helps to keep inflammation in check. So helps to inhibit the inflammatory response in that prostate and urinary area. So what we did for the Ultra Prostate formula was in the 2 soft gel serving size, there is 63 milligrams of the flower pollen extract, which is the ideal daily dose. But for those who are having trouble, like for example, especially getting up multiple times during the night, that can be really problematic for the next day if you're not getting good sleep. We did add what we call the triple strength phosphatidylserine from the rye, and it's providing 378 milligrams in one soft gel. So this was specifically designed to pair with the Ultra Prostate formula.
I didn't even realize that. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Yes, it can be used with the, excellent. That's a great idea. So I know a lot of guys, what they say, like when you hit 70 or so, about 75, 80% of the men out there have problems at night and to enlarge prostate or prostatitis and things like that. So this is interesting. I might add that to my mix there as well. And again, it's a trademarked Cognitex is your patented or flower extract. So again, you're using stuff that's been scientifically looked at or studied, right?
Right. And it's consistent in its standardization. So the Cognitex flower pollen extract in the Ultra Prostate formula is standardized to 7% phytosterol, again, from rye. So really great ingredient, especially for supporting healthy urination patterns. But there's some other ingredients that help also target inflammation and healthy urination patterns in terms of the prostate arena. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, a standardized extract of boswellia, which we call apriflex, Pygeum, which is also known as African cherry tree. So that one is a bark extract, which also helps to keep inflammation and healthy urination patterns going. And some additional phospholipids that pair really nicely with pumpkin seed extract.
Okay. And you also have the lycopene in there as well. That's becoming a little scarce out there, I've noticed, lycopene. Do you know anything about that at all?
Oh, it's really a potent antioxidant. And why Life Extension added it to this specific product, now, of course, women can benefit from lycopene too, but there's really nice research showing that it helps to support healthy prostate size and healthy prostate function. Now, the interesting thing about lycopene is that we are deriving it from tomato extract. And just eating tomatoes may not be the best way of getting your lycopene, because actually the lycopene is concentrated in tomatoes when they're cooked down almost into like a tomato paste. So a plug for adding a little bit of tomato paste to your tomato sauces to get a little extra lycopene. But for, daily intake, it's probably a good idea to add the lycopene to a prostate supporting formula.
Of course. And I see that the Ultra Prostate formula also has the pumpkin seed oil in there, and Life Extension also makes a standalone just for added support. Kind of does what maybe in the same vein as that wasn't a pun. In the same vein as the prostapollen, helps with urinary functions and things like that.
The pumpkin seed oil specifically does have an impact on prostate health, but the studies did show that it supports prostate health when it's complemented or added with saw palmetto. So making sure that you're getting them together. Now, the flower pollen extract can work as a standalone all by itself.
Right.
When you're doing pumpkin seed oil, you might want to consider making sure that you're getting some of those like beta sitosterols that are from saw palmetto and even pygeum. Right. To really have the full-on effect for prostate health.
Good to know. Okay. All right, folks, we got two more here I'd like to discuss. And again, hollyhillvitamins.com, and look up some of these great products from Life Extension. It's worth it. Mention nuts and UTZ and get 15% off our already low prices on that. So that's why we do this. We do a show so you guys learn more about the stuff just as well as I'm learning all the time, and you make your buying decisions more prudent there. So the last two I want to talk about is the male vascular sexual support. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback on this product, Vanessa. This is a one-a-day, folks. It's a special trademarked form of black ginger. And I'm just getting good feedback. I can't really explain how it works to people, but I know people are coming back and saying this does a job here, and give it a little time. It's really a good support for men.
This is another one. I would say this is probably the second in the men's category that we get the most feedback on. And it is a type of ginger, but not the typical ginger you get at the grocery store. It's actually Thai black ginger that's been used historically. It's native to Southeast Asia, and it's been used historically to support and enhance male sexual health. And it does so on several different pathways. First, it helps promote nitric oxide synthesis, which helps to support the blood vessel dilation to get more blood flow to the area. It also helps to relax the blood vessels and, of course, enhance the blood flow. And there was actually a study that also showed that it has a potential impact on neurotransmitters to help the brain respond a little bit more quickly to sexual stimuli.
Oh.
And really, the underlying kind of mechanism, especially for supporting like nitric oxide and healthy blood flow, is that it does help to slow down one of the enzymes that winds down the male sexual response. So if we inhibit this enzyme, it keeps that male sexual response going longer. So, and what's really nice now, we're not going to see probably effects in the first day like we would see with like a nootropic or the quick brain. But this one we would see with consistent use results seen after 30 days. So taking it every day for a month, that's when we're really going to start seeing things kind of balance out in the body and having a more robust sexual response.
Yeah, folks. So if you're, looking for like a natural alternative to some of the Viagras and things out there, which can have some side effects. I mean, it's still a possibility. There's been heart issues, vision issues with Viagra. So this might be a good alternative to try, but give it that 30 to 45 days to really start seeing something. And I know men have told me that it really does a great job for that. All right, that's the male vascular sexual support. And the last one I'd like to talk about is the testosterone elite. I think a lot of guys maybe, Vanessa, worry too much about their testosterone. They feel it. They feel like they should have it without them getting themselves tested. And what I've always read is that you can have high testosterone levels and feel crappy and vice versa, right? And it's a good idea. And I know Life Extension does fantastic testing. I always get my blood work done through Life Extension because they offer a lot more than what your general practitioner can offer, and they will actually sit down with you, the medical staff, and go over things over the phone with you. So Testosterone Elite has some pomegranate in it, which has always been known to help with those kind of levels. So this is supposed to promote free and total testosterone, right?
Correct. And I'm so glad you brought that up about the lab testing. I think it's so important because if you're looking at just free testosterone or total testosterone, you might be missing a bigger picture of balance in the body. Men also need to test estrogen because, like you said, sometimes the testosterone is up, but you still feel a little bit off. Well, testosterone can be turned into estrogen. So if you have a lot of testosterone, it might be turning into a lot of estrogen, specifically that potent form called estradiol. So when we're testing, it's really important to get the big picture, looking at testosterone, estrogen, and maybe even the precursors to testosterone like DHEA, and also looking at prostate health too. So kind of getting a full round picture. Life Extension offers a panel called the Male Basic Hormone Panel that measures DHEA sulfate, free and total testosterone, estradiol, and PSA. So you're getting your full spectrum of what could be happening.
Right.
But I'm also glad that you brought up the pomegranate because when I first saw the proposal of this product, I thought, pomegranate, like, could that really have an impact on testosterone? And yes, it can. In fact, there was a study with both men and women who were just taking pomegranate juice. And their saliva, they tested saliva testosterone, and everyone's testosterone went up with pomegranate. Of course, men are going to have higher levels of testosterone go up because of the fact that men tend to have more testosterone. So this really is a formula that was designed to be almost like an herbal approach for supporting the natural production of testosterone. So it's not providing any hormones per se, but what it's doing is it's helping the body to produce the maximum that it can. And we do have clinical data showing that it does support both free and total testosterone. But we also added another ingredient to help balance that estrogen piece of the puzzle, and that is the luteolin. Luteolin is found in multiple plants, like, for example, like parsley and cilantro. We're extracting it from the Japanese sephora flower. And what luteolin does is it slows down the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. And some men are familiar with this enzyme. It's called aromatase.
Right.
So men don't need too much aromatase activity. So the luteolin was a really great addition to the formula to keep that piece under control.
Wow. And that's found in plants and stuff, the luteolin, right? It's in like green, like broccoli and stuff like that.
Yeah, the richest source, like in terms of like the vegetables, would be like celery. But if you're really wanting to get luteolin, having like your parsley salad, like tabbouleh, can be a really rich source of your luteolin.
Yeah, and you throw a little cocoa in there, right? Cocoa there, that a little chocolate never hurt anybody, right?
We did, actually, and it's standardized to the theobromine found in the raw cacao. And I was kind of wondering, we're talking pomegranate and chocolate. So if I eat a chocolate bar with some pomegranate in there, am I covering my bases? And well, honestly, probably not to the extent that we probably need. This particular standardization of the pomegranate and the cacao are very concentrated. Specifically the punicalagins in the pomegranate and the theobromine. I wouldn't discourage anyone from, enjoying some chocolate, but make sure it's not too much sugar, because I would imagine that would probably have a negative impact, not just on hormone status, but just overall health.
Yeah, folks, they're extracting the good ingredients out of those products and plants and things, and little concentrating a little bit, so you don't have to sit there and eat 10 pomegranates at once there. So I can appreciate that. Great stuff. Again, folks, the Ultra Prostate Formula for Men, the Triple Strength Prostapollen, the Male Vascular Sexual Support, and the Testosterone Elite, as well as all the great products from Life Extension. You can go to lifeextension.com. You get a lot more information. Their magazine, I've always depended on their magazine for information and what's happening in the news. A lot of times, Vanessa, I'll start the show here with some articles from Life Extension and latest research on certain things, latest studies on certain ingredients. So you guys still do a great job, and I always appreciate you being on and the other experts at Life Extension. It makes my job a lot easier. So thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We'll do it again, folks. I promise. Vanessa's got a wealth of wisdom out there, and we're gonna tap it as much as we can. So we'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel so you can get our latest episodes. And if you want to contact me with any questions or comments, try jimwilkcnc@gmail.com. Thanks again.